Humongous week over in the Premier League this midweek, that's right, with the Mersey derby and, of course, a bit of a London crunch clash between Chelsea and Tottenham. Who's going to come out on top? We're going to take a look at that and more next. That's right, folks, back once again with another prediction video today. It is all about the race for top four, and it is all about match day number 30, that's right, in the Premier League, and we'll get to it in a second. If you know where you've been, smash your subscribe and you want to subscribe for Premier League, Blabbing Rovers, World Football. We get it all here under one Rooski. Spurs taking on Chelsea, of course, and Forest taking on Manchester United in some big games, of course, which can define the season or maybe even define the futures of some pristine clubs in the Premier League. What am I talking about? Well, I'll tell you in a second. Of course, big shout out to the members, big shout out to the patrons. You know who you are. What we're going to do now, though, is, of course, revisit the last round of games, which, of course, was pre-international break. Then, of course, kick on forward to the next one. I am going to take a little bit of a sidebar on the old Super Brew. We'll do that another day. Of course, it's a double match week in the Premier League. So, without further ado, we'll just get into it then, shall we? Let's kick it on by recapping the results last time around. And these were those. That's right. Aston Villa and Liverpool duked it out to a 2-2 draw, as predicted. Everton with a 1-1 draw against West Ham. I went with a 2-0 win myself. Meanwhile, Forest with a 4-2 win over Ipswich. I went with a 2-1 win. Man City and Brighton ended up with a 2-2 draw. I went with a 2-0 home win as well. Wolves picked up a 2-1 away win against Southampton. I went with a draw. Brentford with a 2-1 away win against Bournemouth. I went the other way. Arsenal did beat Chelsea just the 1-0. I went with a 3-1 win. Fulham did beat Spurs 2-0. I went with a 1-0 win. And Manchester United did beat Leicester 3-0. I went with a 2-1. Newcastle against Palace. That will take place another time. I just don't know when that will be. I think it's in April, maybe mid-April. I don't know. Let's take a look at the table then as we see it. It looks a little bit like this. It is Liverpool currently leading the charge. Of course, they are champions-elect. They're 12 points clear at the moment and should extend that, you would imagine, very soon. Up against Arsenal, they're second. And the race for second is hot to bloody trot. Forest are in third there. And then, of course, Chelsea are in fourth for the time being. But look at likes of Brighton, Newcastle, all trying to get themselves back in Champions League reckoning. Going down, it is as you were. It's pretty much set in stone, you would think. But, of course, there's still lots of movers and shakers to take place in the league. Of course, keep doing your thing in the prediction league. I've resigned myself. That's why I'm not too keen to show you the league, because I've been a bit of a lazy bugger and not put my predictions in. Anyway, these are the next round of games, and they're coming at you thick and fast. We're starting with Tuesday as Arsenal take on Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough wish. Arsenal take on Fulham on April Fool's Day. That's where I was going. It's a bit of a joke. Middlesbrough. Joke's on you. Anyway, Arsenal against Fulham coming at the Emirates. That's right. Arsenal and in second spot right now, 58 points for the season. They're unbeaten in the last 5. Up against Fulham under Marco Silva, they won 3 and lost 3 over the last 6. They played 35 times since 2001. 23 wins for Arsenal, 4 wins for Fulham. There's been 8 draws. And of course, the Cottagers currently find themselves in 8th. Meanwhile, Fulham fresh on the back of that 3-0 loss to Crystal Palace in the FA Cup, but hope to bring it back to the Premier League and get back to winning ways. Of course, last time around over at Emirates between these two sides, it was a 2-2 draw back in August 2023. Meanwhile, the reverse fixture, a 1-1 draw at Craven Cottage back in December. Fulham, though, on the back of again, 3-0 loss to Palace. Last match in the Premier League, there was a 2-0 win over Spurs. Arsenal picking up a 1-0 win over Chelsea most recently in their last Premier League match. Meanwhile, the bookies' odds on this one, they'll go with Arsenal. They're hot to trot, of course, and I'm also going to back the Gunners to continue their push for top 2. 2-0 winners for me, for Arsenal to take it to the house. That's right. Next up, we're going to go, where are we? We're going to go to Bournemouth. No, we're not. We're not going to go. We're going to go Wolves. Wolves up against West Ham United. It's the battle of the W's. Coming at Molineux. Victor Pereira's boys are 17th right now, 26 points for the season. Back-to-back games without a loss. Up against West Ham under Graham Potter. Back-to-back games without a win. They're, of course, 17th for Wolves. 16th place West Ham. Just a good gap between the two sides, though. We're talking 8 points between the two sides. But they played 22 times since 2004. 9 wins. Wolves, 12 wins. West Ham. It's been 1 draw between the two sides. Last time around over at Molineux, a 2-1 win for West Ham way back in April 2024. The reverse fixture, a 2-1 win for West Ham as well at the London Stadium back in December. Wolves on the back of that 2-1 win over Southampton. West Ham on the back of that 1-1 David Moyes derby draw against Everton back at Goodison Park back in March the 15th. Bookies odds for this one, it is quite tight, but Wolves fancied by the bookies odds. I'm going with a 2-1 win though for Potter's boys to get themselves A massive win this part of the season. Let's go to Nottingham Forest then as they take on Manchester United. Can their amazing season continue? They're already going to Wembley into the FA Cup, but they're hoping to get close to the top four on Champions League. They've won 4 in the spin, have Nuno Espirito Santos boys. They are third in the table, 54 points for the season, up against Man United and Ruben Albion, who's on back-to-back wins and just one defeat in the last 6. They sit 13th right now, 37 points for the season. They played 16 times since 1994. 3 wins Forest, 11 wins Manchester United. There's been 2 draws between the two sides. Last time around over at this very venue in the league, it was a 2-1 win for Forest back in December 2023. The reverse fixture at Manchester United was a 3-2 win for Forest, who were trying to make it 3 wins on the spin against them in the Premier League. Manchester United, though, on the back of that 3-0 loss to Leicester. Forest on the back of that penalty shootout win over Brighton to secure their semi-final spot in the FA Cup. The bookies, though, bookies are actually giving it to Nottingham Forest. They are fancy for the victory here. I'm going with a 2-1 win as well to give themselves a big old boost. Next up, it is Bournemouth. They're going to be taking on Ipswich Town, coming at you over at the Dean Court, or the Vitality, or whatever they want to call it. Of course, Bournemouth having a great old season as well. They currently find themselves in 10th with 44 points for the season, up against Ipswich, who are in 18th, and they look like they're going down. 5 times they've played since 2013, just 1 win for Bournemouth. Nothing for Ipswich. There's been 4 draws between the two sides. Bournemouth, though, coming into just 1 win the last 5, and of course, hoping to boost their top 10 spot this coming week. Last time they played at Bournemouth, it was a 2-2 draw back in November 2014. The reverse fixture at Portman Road, 2-1 win it was for Bournemouth back in December. Bournemouth, though, losing to Brentford most recently. The last victory in the Prem was a 3-1 win over Southampton at Southampton way back in the 15th of Feb. Ipswich on the back of that 4-2 loss to Forest last round. Their last away match was a 1-0 loss to Palace. The odds on this one, of course, Bournemouth are hot to trot on here. I'm going to go with the 2-0 win as well as they get back to winning ways. Let's go to Brighton against Aston Villa once again over at the Amex. Brighton under Fabian Hutzler are 7th for the table, 47 points for the season. Up against Villa under Unai Emery, they are 9th with 45 points for the season. They won 5 on the spin, that's right. They played 16 times since 2010, just 2 wins Brighton, 8 wins Villa. There's been 6 draws between the two sides. Last time around, of course, over at Brighton, it was a 1-0 win for Brighton back on 5th of May last season. Reverse fixture, a 2-2 draw at Villa Park back in December. Villa, though, of course, a lot of those cheeky wins, or their last win was a freebie against El Ain. The last match in the Premier League was a 1-0 win away to Brentford. Meanwhile, Brighton on the back of that 3-4 penalty shootout loss to Forest. The last match in the Prem was a 2-2 draw against Man City. The odds, though, for this one, it is quite tight, and I can't even see it right now. I think Brighton are fancied for the victory on this one. I'm going with a 2-1 win as well. Brighton continuing their amazing season and the race for Europe once again. Man City against Leicester coming at you at the Etihad. Man City, of course, under Pep Guardiola, they are 5th in the table, 48 points for the season, back-to-back games without a win. Up against Leicester under Ruud van Nistelrooy, they are 19th for 17 points for the season. They've lost 6 on the spin. They played 33 times, these two clubs, since 1994. 21 wins for City, 8 wins for Leicester. There's been 4 draws between the two sides. Last time around, over at Man City, it was a 3-1 win for the champions, the current champions still. That's back in April 2023. The reverse fixture, a 2-0 win for City, back at Leicester, back in December this season. Brighton, though, did pick up a draw against City most recently. Leicester on the back of that 3-0 loss to Manchester United to make it, I don't even know, 5 games without a goal for them. Goodness gracious me. The odds right here, right now, City should win this one. They've been a bit shit this season, City, from their standards, but they should win this one comfortably. 3-0 winners in this one. Meanwhile, let's go to the EFL League Cup champions in this Newcastle up against Brentford, coming at St James's Park. The Geordies sit 6th right now, 47 points for the season, back-to-back wins up against Brentford under Tommy Frank. They're 11th with 41 points for the season, just 1 defeat in the last 5. They played the Geordies 11 times since 2006, 8 wins Newcastle, 2 wins Brentford. There's been 1 draw between the two sides. Last time around, over at St James's Park in the league, it was a 1-0 win for Newcastle back in September 2023. Goodness gracious me, the Geordies coming out on top. Meanwhile, they also played this season at Brentford. 4-2 win as it was for Brentford back in December. Now, we're not going to stop there. They've also played this season in that EFL Cup, and we know what happened there, don't we? Of course, the Geordies coming out on top in the end. They also came out on top with a 3-1 win over Brentford in the quarter-final stages at St James's Park. Meanwhile, last time around, Newcastle picking up that 2-1 win over Liverpool at Wembley. The last match in the Premier League, also a 1-0 win against West Ham. Coming at you, though, Brentford picking up a 2-1 win on the road against Bournemouth. This one's tricky, guys. It is tricky. But the bookies, they'll back the champions here, the EFL Cup champions. They are fancied by the bookies. I'm going with a 2-0 win as well. That party will continue once again at St James's Park. Southampton up against Crystal Palace, who are in the semi-finals themselves of the FA Cup. Even Judicious boys are rock bottom with 20 points for the 20th in the table, just 9 points for the season. They've lost 6 on the spin. Up against Glasgow, that's Crystal Palace who won 6 on the spin. Goodness gracious me. 12th in the table, 39 points for the season. They played 42 times since 1994. 18 wins Southampton, 14 wins for Crystal Palace. There's been 10 draws between the two sides. Last time around, over at Southampton, it was a 2-0 win for Palace back in April 2023. The reverse fixture, a 2-1 win for Crystal Palace back at Selhurst Park back in December. Crystal Palace on the back of that 3-0 win over Fulham. Southampton losing the Wolves most recently at St James's Park. The odds right here right now, Palace are fancy for the victory here to continue their run. I'm going with a 1-1 draw, maybe a bit of a come down from the FA Cup exploits this past weekend, and a point in the bag to put Southampton on double digits. That's right, that's 10 for the season. And then we go to Merseyside. That's right, it's Liverpool, it's Everton. It's coming at you at Anfield. That's right, Arnie Slot's boys at the top of the table. 70 points for the season on back-to-back defeats. Like, up against Everton under David Moyes, who's drawn 5 of the last 6. Like, they've won 68 times, these two sides. 30 wins for Liverpool, 11 wins for Everton. There's been 27 draws between these two sides. Everton's all 15th at the table, 34 sides of the season. Last time around, over at Anfield, it was a 2-0 win for Liverpool back in October 2023. Meanwhile, over at Goodison Park, it was 2-2 draw back in February. What are we looking at? Back-to-back games now, Everton unbeaten against Liverpool. However, both those games at Goodison Park. Liverpool on the back of that loss to Newcastle United. Everton on the back of 4 successive draws, like drawing with Man United, Brentford, Wolves and West Ham United. The odds on this one, though, looking at the bookies odds, they'll go with Liverpool. They should go with Liverpool. They'll get back to winning ways. It's going to go big as well. 4-1 winners in David Moyes' face. That's right. And then finally we go to London. It's Chelsea. It's Spurs. It's coming at Stamford Bridge. It's Chelsea under Enzo Marquesca. 4th for the table, just 1 defeat in the last 5. We get Spurs. Angie Postelegro, who's still here, just 1 win in the last 5. They're 14th with 34 points for the season. They played 75 times, these two clubs, since 1993. 42 wins for Chelsea, just 11 wins for Spurs. 22 draws between the two sides. Last time around, at Stamford Bridge, it was a 2-0 win for Chelsea back in May 2024. The reverse fixture at Tottenham Stadium was a 7-goal thriller. Chelsea coming out on top, who've won 3 on the spin against Spurs. Spurs, though, on the back of that 2-0 loss to Fulham. Chelsea on the back of that 1-0 loss to Arsenal. The odds for this one, though, Chelsea expected to win this game. I'm going with a 1-1 draw right down the middle. That, my friends, is my points. And if I'm right, this is what the predictions will look like at the table. Liverpool remaining the tip of the top of the table. Arsenal, of course, in 2nd. Forest in 3rd. And City are in 4th. Going down, Saints, Leicester and Ipswich, as you called it. The Geordies closing in onto Champions League football. That's my picks. Get your picks in as well with the Super Bowl. We'll be back once again very, very soon. But until then, we're just about done.